I found out my wife had a work husband, and it was way worse than I thought. I confronted her, and she said I was being overly jealous and insecure. Hello. Thank you for your continuous support. This means a lot to us. If you enjoy the stories we share, kindly subscribe to this channel. It will be great if you can leave a comment on which city you are watching from. We might just give you a shout-out in our next story. Today's special shout-out goes to Janet Brown from Atlanta. We are glad you enjoy our stories. Now let's dive into the details of today's story. I remember the exact moment I started feeling like something was off. It was a Tuesday night, and the house smelled like the lasagna Lydia had baked earlier. The TV was on, some cooking show she loved, but I wasn't really watching. I was staring at her, sitting on the couch, her phone glowing in her lap. She was texting. Fast. Her thumbs moved like they were racing, and every few seconds, she'd smile. Not a big smile, just a little one, like she was sharing a secret. Who's that? I asked, trying to sound casual. Oh, just Mark, she said, not looking up. Work stuff. Mark. Her coworker. I'd heard his name before, but lately, it felt like he was popping up more. Mark said this, Mark did that. I didn't think much of it at first. I mean, Lydia worked long hours, and I trusted her. She was my wife. We'd been together for 8 years, married for 5. Trust was supposed to be the easy part. But that night, something felt wrong. Like a crack in a window you don't notice until the wind starts whistling through it. I tried to shake it off. I told myself I was being paranoid. A few weeks later, we had a dinner party at our house. Tom, my best friend, was there, along with a few of Lydia's coworkers. The living room was loud, glasses clinking, laughter bouncing off the walls. Lydia was in her element, charming everyone, her laugh bright and sharp like a bell. I loved that about her, how she could light up a room. Then it happened. She was talking to one of her coworkers, a guy named Greg, and I heard her say it. Oh, Mark? He's basically my work husband, she said, laughing. Greg chuckled. Yeah, you two are inseparable at the office. I froze, my beer halfway to my mouth. Work husband? What did that even mean? I forced a laugh, trying to play it cool, but my chest felt tight. I looked at Tom across the room, and he raised an eyebrow, like he'd heard it too. Later, when everyone left, I asked her about it. Work husband? Really, Lydia? She rolled her eyes, tossing a dish towel on the counter. It's just a joke, Alex. Everyone says it. It's not a big deal. But it felt like a big deal to me. I didn't say anything else that night. I didn't want to seem insecure. I didn't want to be that guy. So I let it go. Or at least, I tried to. The next few weeks, the cracks got wider. Lydia started staying late at work more often. She'd come home after 10, her hair messy, her eyes tired but bright. Mark and I had to finish a project, she'd say. Or, Mark needed help with something. Always Mark. One night, I heard her on the phone in the bedroom. Her voice was low, soft, like she didn't want me to hear. I stood outside the door, my heart pounding. Yeah, I'll bring lunch tomorrow, she said. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I didn't ask who she was talking to. I didn't want to know. But deep down, I think I already did. Then, one Saturday morning, everything changed. I was in the kitchen, making coffee, when my phone buzzed. It was an email, no subject, from an address I didn't recognize. I opened it, and my stomach dropped. There were photos. Lydia and Mark, sitting close at a restaurant, her hand on his arm. Another one, them walking by a lake, laughing. And then a video. I hit play, and there they were, in a hotel lobby, checking in. The timestamp said it was during one of her business trips. My hands shook. I felt like I couldn't breathe. There were texts too, screenshots someone had sent. Lydia saying she'd cooked dinner for Mark. Lydia saying she'd pick up groceries for him. It wasn't just work. It wasn't just friendship. It was something else. I sat there, staring at my phone, the coffee going cold on the counter. My mind raced. Who sent this? Why? But more than that, I kept thinking, how could she do this? How could she lie to me like this? I heard her footsteps coming down the stairs. She walked into the kitchen, her hair messy from sleep, her smile lazy. Morning, she said, reaching for the coffee. I looked at her, my throat tight, my heart pounding. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But instead, I just said, we need to talk. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just a crack. This was the moment everything was going to break. I stood there in the kitchen, my phone still in my hand, the photos and video burning in my mind. Lydia looked at me, her head tilted, like she didn't notice how my voice shook when I said, "We need to talk." "Talk about what?" she asked, pouring coffee into her mug. The steam curled up, and the smell hit me, but it didn't feel comforting like it usually did. Everything felt wrong. I took a deep breath. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't get enough air. "I got an email this morning," I said. "Photos, videos, texts of you and Mark." Her hand froze on the mug. For a second, she didn't move. Then she turned to me, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about, Alex?" I held up my phone, showing her the first photo, the one of her and Mark at the restaurant, her hand on his arm. Her face changed, just for a moment, like she'd been caught. But then she straightened up, like she was putting on armor. "That's nothing," she said, her voice sharp. "We were just having lunch. You're blowing this out of proportion." "Lunch," I said, my voice rising. "What about the hotel? The lake? The text where you said you'd cook for him? Buy his groceries?" "That's not lunch, Lydia. That's something else." She rolled her eyes, and that hurt more than anything. Like I was being ridiculous. Like I was the problem. "You're being so insecure," she said. "Mark's my coworker. We're close. That's normal. Everyone at work has someone like that. You're acting like I'm cheating or something." I stared at her, my heart pounding. "Are you?" I asked, my voice quieter now. "Are you cheating?" She laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was sharp, like glass breaking. "No, Alex. I'm not. You're just jealous. You've always been like this, overreacting to everything." I felt like I'd been slapped. Jealous? Overreacting? I wanted to believe her. I wanted to think I was wrong, that I'd misread everything. But the photos, the video, the way she smiled in them, it wasn't just work. I knew it wasn't. "I trusted you," I said, my voice shaking. "I trusted you, and you lied to me. Those business trips? They weren't business. You were with him. You were, what, playing house with him." She crossed her arms, her face hard. "You're making this into something it's not. Mark's my friend. That's it. You need to calm down. Calm down." I said, louder now. "You're cooking for him, shopping for him, going on trips with him, and I'm supposed to calm down? No, Lydia. I'm done. I can't do this anymore." Her eyes widened, just for a second. "What do you mean, done?" "I mean, I want a divorce," I said. The words felt heavy, like they were made of stone. "If he's your work husband, then go live with him. I'm not doing this." The kitchen went quiet. The only sound was the hum of the fridge, low and steady. Lydia stared at me, her mouth open, like she couldn't believe what I'd said. Then she laughed again, but it sounded forced. "You're serious? You're going to throw away our marriage over some stupid misunderstanding?" "It's not a misunderstanding," I said, my voice steady now. "You lied to me. You broke us. And I'm not sticking around to watch you pretend it's my fault." She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she grabbed her mug, slammed it on the counter, and stormed out of the kitchen. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, fast and loud, like she was running away. I stood there, alone, my hands shaking. The coffee she'd poured was still on the counter, steam fading. I felt like I was fading too, like everything I thought I knew was slipping away. That night, she packed a bag. I watched from the living room as she shoved clothes into it, her movements sharp and angry. "I'll stay with Mark for a few days," she said, not looking at me. "You'll calm down. You'll see you're overreacting." I didn't say anything. I just watched her leave, the door slamming behind her. The house felt too big, too quiet. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, my mind racing. Had I overreacted? Was I wrong? I called Tom, my best friend. His voice was steady, like an anchor. "You did the right thing," he said. "She lied to you, Alex. You can't let her make you feel like the bad guy." But I didn't feel like the good guy. I felt broken. I felt like I'd lost everything. The next few days were a blur. I went to work, came home, stared at the ceiling. Lydia didn't call. She didn't text. I kept checking my phone, hoping she'd say something, anything. But there was nothing. Then, one night, I got another email. It was from the same address, the one that sent the photos. My heart sank. I didn't want to open it, but I had to know. It was a message, short and simple. "You deserve to know the truth. I'm Sarah, Mark's wife. I'm sorry, Sarah, Mark's wife. She was the one who sent the photos. She was the one who saw what I couldn't. And now, she was reaching out, like we were connected by this mess. I stared at the email, my mind spinning. What did she want? Why was she sorry? And what was going to happen next? I didn't know, but I knew one thing for sure. Lydia wasn't the only one with secrets, and this was far from over. The days after Lydia left felt like walking through fog. Everything was blurry, heavy. I'd wake up to an empty bed, the sheets cold on her side, and it hit me all over again. She was gone. I'd go to work, sit at my desk, stare at my computer, but my mind wasn't there. It was stuck on her, on Mark, on the lies. Tom kept checking on me. He'd call, his voice steady, like he was trying to pull me back to solid ground. You need to take care of yourself, Alex, he said one night. She made her choice. Now you make yours. I knew he was right, but it didn't make it easier. I felt like I'd lost a part of myself, like I wasn't enough. Then, one morning, I got a call from Sarah, Mark's wife. Her voice was quiet, tired, like she'd been carrying this weight for a long time. I wanted to talk, she said. In person, if you're okay with that. I hesitated. Part of me didn't want to face her, to see the pain in her eyes that I knew was in mine too. But another part of me needed to know more, needed to understand. So I agreed. We met at a coffee shop downtown. The place smelled like roasted beans and cinnamon, but it felt cold, like the air was too thin. Sarah sat across from me, her hands wrapped tight around her mug. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying, and her hair was pulled back, messy. I'm sorry, she said, her voice shaking. I didn't know what else to do. I found out about them months ago. I tried to confront Mark, but he lied, said it was nothing. But then I saw the receipts, the photos. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I listened, my chest tight. She told me how Mark had been distant for years, how he'd always been charming, but selfish, how she'd suspected he'd done this before, with other co-workers. And then she told me about Lydia, how she'd seen them together, laughing, acting like they were more than friends. I sent you the email because I thought you deserved to know, she said. But I didn't think it would go this far. What do you mean? I asked, my voice low. She looked down at her coffee, her fingers tapping the mug. They got fired. Both of them. Someone at work found out about the trips, the lies. HR got involved. It's a mess. I stared at her, my mind racing. Fired? Lydia loved her job. It was her whole world. And now it was gone. Part of me felt satisfied, like she'd gotten what she deserved. But another part of me felt sad, like I'd lost her all over again. Sarah and I talked for hours. It was strange sitting there with her, two strangers connected by betrayal. But by the end, I felt lighter, like I wasn't alone. She told me she was filing for divorce, that she was done with Mark. I'm tired of being the one who gets hurt, she said. I deserve better. Her words stuck with me. I deserve better too. That night, I made a decision. I called a therapist Tom had recommended. The first session was awkward, sitting in a small office with soft chairs and a box of tissues on the table. But I talked. I told her about Lydia, about the photos, about the way I felt like I wasn't enough. She listened, nodding, and by the end, I felt like I could breathe again. I started going once a week. I started running too, early in the morning, the air cold against my face. I'd come home, sweat dripping, my legs tired, but my mind clearer. I picked up old hobbies, like painting. The smell of acrylics, the feel of the brush in my hand, it reminded me of who I used to be, before all this. But Lydia? She was falling apart. I heard bits and pieces from mutual friends. She'd moved in with her sister, Claire, after Mark pushed her away. Turns out, he wasn't so charming when the consequences hit. He told her he needed space, that his marriage was falling apart, that it wasn't her fault, but he couldn't deal with her right now. I wasn't surprised. I'd seen guys like Mark before, selfish, always looking for the easy way out. But hearing about Lydia, hearing how she'd lost her job, her home, whatever she had with him, it made me feel strange. Angry, but also sad. One day, I was at the grocery store, pushing my cart down the aisle, when I saw Claire. She looked tired, her hair messy, her eyes avoiding mine. I thought about walking away, but she saw me first. Alex, she said, her voice quiet. I just want you to know. I'm sorry. For everything. Lydia's a mess. She knows she messed up, but I don't think she knows how to fix it. I didn't say much. Just nodded, told her I was sorry too, and walked away. But her words stayed with me. Lydia was a mess. She knew she messed up. But was that enough? Could it ever be enough? That night, I went to a work event, just to get out of the house. The room was loud, people laughing, glasses clinking. I stood by the bar, nursing a soda, when someone tapped my shoulder. "Hey, Alex," she said, her voice warm. I turned, and there she was, Rachel, from accounting. She had a smile that felt real, not forced, and her eyes were kind, like they saw me, not the mess I felt like. We talked for a while, about work, about the weather, about nothing important. But it felt easy, like I could breathe around her. She laughed at my jokes, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like myself again. When I got home, I sat on the couch, my mind spinning. Rachel was nice. She was kind. But could I trust again? Could I let someone in after everything? I didn't know. But I knew one thing: Lydia wasn't the only one falling apart. I was too, in my own way. And maybe, just maybe, I was starting to find my way back. But then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. I opened it, and my heart sank. It was Lydia. "Can we talk?" And just like that, the fog was back. Lydia's text sat on my phone like a weight. "Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time, my thumb hovering over the screen. Part of me wanted to reply, to hear her out, to see if she'd changed. But another part of me, the part that was tired of hurting, said no. I didn't owe her anything. Not anymore. I put my phone down, face first on the couch, ends down, face first on the couch, and left it there. I wasn't ready. Not yet. The next few weeks, I tried to focus on myself. Therapy helped. My therapist, Susan, had this calm way of listening, like she really cared. I told her about Lydia's text, about how it made me feel angry, sad, confused. She asked me what I wanted, not what Lydia wanted. It was a simple question, but it stuck with me. What did I want? I started running more, early in the morning, before the sun came up. The air was cold, sharp against my skin, and my breath came out in puffs. I'd run until my legs burned, until my mind felt clear. I started painting again too, setting up an easel in the garage. The smell of acrylics, the feel of the brush, it was like finding a piece of myself I'd forgotten. Work got better too. I got a promotion, something small but meaningful. My boss shook my hand, said I'd earned it. I felt proud, like I was building something new, something mine. And then there was Rachel. She'd started showing up more, not in a pushy way, just there. We'd talk at work, in the break room, by the coffee machine. She had this laugh, bright and easy, and she'd tease me about my bad coffee choices. Black coffee? Really, Alex? Live a little, she'd say, holding up her latte like it was a trophy. One day, she asked if I wanted to grab dinner after work. Just casual, she said, nothing big. I hesitated. Dinner felt like a step, like crossing a line I wasn't sure I was ready for. But her smile, the way she looked at me, like I was worth seeing, it made me say yes. We went to this little Italian place, the kind with red checkered tablecloths and candles flickering on every table. The food was good, pasta and garlic bread, but it was her I remember most. She told me about her dog, a goofy golden retriever named Max, and how he chewed up her favorite shoes. I told her about my painting, about how I used to love it but stopped. She listened, really listened, and it felt easy. But it wasn't all easy. I'd catch myself pulling back, second-guessing. Could I trust her? Could I trust anyone? Rachel noticed, I think. One night, we were walking to our cars after dinner, the streetlights buzzing above us, and she stopped. "You don't have to rush this, Alex," she said, her voice soft. "I'm not going anywhere. But you deserve to be happy. You know that, right?" I didn't know what to say. Her words hit me, hard, like they found a crack I'd been hiding. I nodded, mumbled something about needing time, and she smiled, like she understood. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Rachel was kind. She was real. But Lydia's shadow was still there, in the quiet moments, in the doubts. I wanted to move forward. I wanted to believe I could. A few days later, I met Sarah again, at the same coffee shop. She looked better, stronger, like she'd found her footing. She told me she'd started a blog, writing about what happened with Mark, about healing. "It's helping," she said, her voice steady. "I'm not just the wife he hurt anymore. I'm me. We talked about Lydia too. Sarah said she'd heard Lydia was struggling, working a smaller job, living with her sister. She's not the same, Sarah said. But I don't know if she'll ever really change. I nodded, not sure what to feel. Lydia was part of my past, but her choices still hurt. I didn't want to carry that anymore. That night, I painted. A stormy sky, dark and swirling, but with a streak of light breaking through. It felt right, like I was letting go, just a little. The next day, I saw Rachel at work. She waved, her smile warm, and I felt something shift. Maybe I wasn't ready for everything, but I was ready for this, for small steps, for trying. But then, that evening, I got home, and there was a letter on the porch. No stamp, just my name in Lydia's handwriting. My heart sank. I picked it up, my hand shaking, and opened it. Her words were messy, like she'd written fast. Alex, I'm sorry, it started. I know I hurt you. I know I broke us. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know I regret everything. I'm trying to be better. I hope you're okay. I hope you're happy. I sat on the steps, the letter in my lap, the wind cold against my face. I didn't know what to feel. Anger, sadness, pity, it all mixed together. She was sorry. She regretted it. But did that change anything? Could it? I looked up at the sky, the stars faint against the city lights. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to move on. But Lydia's words, her handwriting, they pulled me back, just for a moment. And I didn't know what to do next. I sat on the porch steps, Lydia's letter in my lap, the wind cold against my neck. Her words stared up at me, messy and raw. I'm sorry, she wrote. I regret everything. I read it over and over, my heart pounding, like I was looking for something, some reason to believe her, or some reason to throw it away. But I didn't know what I felt. Anger? Sadness? Pity? It was all there, tangled up, like a knot I couldn't untie. I wanted to be done with her, with the pain. But her words, they pulled me back, just for a moment. I folded the letter, shoved it in my pocket, and went inside. The house felt too quiet, the air heavy. I sat on the couch, staring at the coffee table, my mind spinning. Should I reply? Should I call her? Or should I just let it go? I didn't sleep much that night. I kept seeing her handwriting, hearing her voice in my head. I hope you're happy, she wrote. But was I? I was trying to be. I was running, painting, talking to Rachel. I was building something new. But her letter, it made me feel like I was stuck again. The next morning, I went for a run, hoping the cold air would clear my head. My feet hit the pavement, steady and loud, and my breath came out in puffs. I ran faster than usual, like I was trying to outrun her words. By the end, my legs burned, but my mind felt quieter. I decided not to reply. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I didn't owe her a response. I didn't owe her anything. That day at work, I saw Rachel in the break room. She was pouring coffee, her hair falling in her face, and she smiled when she saw me. Hey, Alex, she said, her voice warm. You okay? You look tired. I nodded, forcing a smile. Yeah, just didn't sleep much. Long night. She tilted her head, like she could see through me. If you want to talk, I'm here, she said. No pressure. I appreciated that. Rachel never pushed, never made me feel like I had to explain. We talked for a while, about work, about her dog, Max, who'd chewed up another pair of shoes. I laughed, and it felt real, like a weight lifting. That night, I painted. A bright sky, blue and gold, with clouds drifting. It wasn't perfect, but it felt hopeful, like I was moving forward. I hung it in the living room, where the light caught it, and every time I looked at it, I felt proud. But Lydia's letter stayed in my pocket, like a shadow I couldn't shake. I didn't read it again, but I knew it was there. I thought about throwing it away, but something stopped me. Maybe I wasn't ready to let go. Not completely. A few days later, I met Sarah for coffee again. She looked stronger, her eyes brighter, like she'd found her way. She told me her blog was growing, that people were reaching out, sharing their stories. It's helping, she said, her voice steady. I'm not just the wife he hurt anymore. I'm me. I nodded, feeling that too. I wasn't just the husband she broke. I was Alex. I was figuring it out. Then Sarah said something that caught me off guard. Lydia reached out to me. She said, her voice quieter now. She found my blog. She said she wanted to talk. I stared at her, my coffee going cold in my hands. Lydia? Talk to you? What? Sarah shrugged. her fingers tapping the mug. I don't know. She said she's been reading my posts, that they made her think. She said she's sorry for what she did to you, to me. I don't know if I believe her, but she sounded different. Broken, maybe. I didn't know what to say. Lydia, reaching out to Sarah? It felt strange, like two worlds colliding. Part of me was angry, like she had no right to talk to Sarah, to drag her into this. But another part of me wondered, had she changed? Was she really sorry? Sarah looked at me, her eyes searching. I'm meeting her tomorrow, she said. I don't know why I said yes, but I did. Maybe I need to hear her out. Maybe I need closure. I nodded, not sure what to feel. Be careful, I said, my voice low. She's good at saying what people want to hear. Sarah smiled, just a little. I know, but I'm not the same person I was. Neither are you. That night, I sat on the couch, the letter on the coffee table. I didn't open it, but I looked at it, like it was a puzzle I couldn't solve. Lydia was talking to Sarah. She was saying she was sorry. But did it matter? Could it change anything? I thought about Rachel, about the way she smiled, the way she listened. I thought about my painting, the bright sky, the hope. I wanted that. I wanted to move forward. But Lydia's letter, her words, they kept pulling me back. And then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Sarah. I met Lydia. She's a mess. But she's trying. I don't know what to think. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. Lydia was trying. Sarah was talking to her. And me? I was stuck, caught between the past and the future. And I didn't know what came next. Sarah's text stayed with me all night. I met Lydia. She's a mess. But she's trying. I read it over and over, my phone glowing in the dark. Lydia was trying. Sarah was talking to her. And me? I was stuck, caught between the past and the future, not sure where I fit. The next morning, I went for a run, the air cold and sharp. My feet hit the pavement, steady and loud, and I tried to clear my head. I thought about Lydia's letter, still on the coffee table, unopened since that first night. I thought about Sarah, meeting her, talking to her. And I thought about Rachel, her smile, her kindness, the way she made me feel like I could try again. I didn't want to be stuck anymore. I wanted to move forward. That day at work, I saw Rachel in the break room. She was laughing with someone, her head thrown back, her eyes bright. I watched her for a moment, feeling something warm in my chest. When she saw me, she waved, her smile soft. Hey, Alex, she said, walking over. You okay? You look thoughtful. I nodded, smiling a little. Yeah, just figuring some things out. But I'm okay. Better, I think. She tilted her head, like she could see through me, but she didn't push. Good, she said. You deserve to be better. We talked for a while, about work, about her dog, Max, who chewed up a pillow this time. I laughed, and it felt real, like I was lighter. When we walked to our cars later, the streetlights buzzing above us, I stopped. Rachel, I said, my voice quiet. I want to try? With us. I'm not perfect, and I'm still figuring things out, but I want to try. She looked at me, her eyes searching, and then she smiled, slow and warm. I'd like that, she said. No rush. Just us. That night, I painted. A bright sky, blue and gold, with clouds drifting, just like the one in the living room. But this time, I added a figure, small and distant, walking forward. It felt right, like I was painting myself, moving on. A few days later, I met Sarah for coffee. She looked stronger, her eyes bright, her smile real. She told me about her blog, how it was growing, how people were reaching out. I'm helping them, she said, her voice steady. And it's helping me too. Then she told me about Lydia. She's been coming to my support group, she said, her voice quieter. She's a mess, Alex. But she's trying. She talks about you sometimes, about how she hurt you. She's sorry, I think. Really sorry. I nodded, not sure what to feel. Lydia was trying. She was going to Sarah's group, talking about me, saying she was sorry. But did it change anything? Could it? I don't know if I can forgive her, I said, my voice low. But I'm glad she's trying. For her, I guess. Sarah smiled, just a little. You don't have to forgive her. You just have to let go. For you. Her words stuck with me. Let go. Not for Lydia, but for me. That night, I sat on the couch, Lydia's letter in my hands. I opened it, read it one last time. Her words were messy, raw, like she'd poured everything into them. I'm sorry, she wrote. I hope you're happy. I folded it, put it in a drawer, and closed it. I didn't need to carry it anymore. I didn't need to reply. I just needed to let go. A few weeks later, I moved into a new house. It was small, but bright, with big windows and a backyard. I hung my paintings, the bright skies, the drifting clouds. Rachel helped me unpack, laughing as Max ran around, chasing his tail. One night, we sat on the porch, the air cool, the stars faint against the city lights. She leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, and I felt okay. Not perfect, but okay. Like I was where I was supposed to be. I thought about Lydia sometimes, but it didn't hurt as much. I heard she was still going to Sarah's group, still trying. I heard Mark was alone, his marriage over, his charm fading. I didn't feel sorry for him. He made his choices. Sarah kept growing, her blog turning into something bigger, something real. She and Lydia, they found a strange kind of friendship, helping each other heal. I didn't understand it, but I was glad for them. That night, sitting on the porch, I looked at Rachel, her eyes bright in the moonlight. I thought about the past, about the pain, the cracks. But I thought about the future too, about the hope, the light. I took a deep breath, the air cool and clean. I'm happy, I said, my voice quiet. Rachel looked at me, her smile soft. Good, she said. You deserve that. And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. And that's the end of the story. I hope you felt the ups and downs, the cracks and the healing, just like I did. Stories like this remind us that life's messy, but there's always a chance to move forward, to find hope, to be happy. If this story hit home for you, or if you just loved listening, drop a like. It really helps me know you're enjoying these audio adventures. And hey, let me know what you think in the comments. Did you root for Alex? Were you surprised by Lydia and Sarah's connection? Or maybe you've got your own story to share. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a new story. I've got more coming soon. Tales of heartbreak, redemption, and everything in between. And if you know someone who'd connect with Alex's journey, share this video with them. Let's spread the stories that matter. Thanks for listening, for being here. You're part of this community, and I'm so grateful for that. Until next time, take care. And remember, you deserve to be happy too. See you soon.